PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Hello and welcome to PharmaVentures Insight here at Genesis 2016 in London. On today's show I have Harriet Fear, Chief Executive of Nucleus. Harriet, welcome.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Nice to
Harriet, so we've talked previously at your other events, and what's changed since maybe 18 months ago when we last spoke?
Oh, well, goodness. So we spoke on Helix, I think it was 18 months ago. That was our annual translational research conference in Cambridge. And obviously we're here today with Genesis. It's our biggest Genesis conference yet, with over 800 delegates. A lot's happened in the last 18 months. I mean, I guess it depends who you mean. From my perspective, I guess looking at the global life science and healthcare sector, it's one of the most vibrant times I've ever seen. Talking with George Freeman earlier this year when he was still the Minister for Life Sciences, he said at the Stock Exchange, I genuinely believe it's the golden age of biotech, and we're seeing our members, increasing their workforce, increasing their drug development pipelines. It's all fantastic in terms of internally. Obviously, some big global issues that some of us weren't expecting, which we all know about, and I'm sure will be debated today here at Genesis. In terms of Nucleus and the team, we were delighted this year to be given an award by Global Health and Pharma magazine. When I came into the company 7 years ago, my vision was for the company to be the best membership organisation in Europe, and we've just won the best global membership organisation. So I'd like to think that vision is well and truly established, and now I need to obviously work on our plans for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, so having overachieved there, on global rather than Europe, that's going to set a pretty high bar for you.
Well, yes, so I said to my directors the other day, so we're looking at the moon then, are we, next?
I'm not sure biotech on the moon's quite made it yet, but
I think the most important thing for us is to make sure that we're still serving our members in the best possible way, and that means that we have three very clear objectives. One is to collaborate with the right other organisations to deliver member value. The other is to constantly scrutinise what we're doing to make sure it's fit for purpose. So at our Genesis conference, you'll see some changes from previous years. We change year on year. And then the third objective, and they're all equally important, is obviously to continue to grow the membership, because the greater the size of the membership, the more deal flow there is between the members, and the bigger interaction and impact internationally. And our big focus at Nucleus is in our international relationships and delivering services for our members which help them to maximise their global competitiveness. That's how we distinguish ourselves from other great organisations in the UK.
Right. And you mentioned international there, and previously you said that there are some areas of uncertainty right now. We don't need to go into what they are. Are you seeing any impact of that, or is the membership still growing, people still doing what they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the sector, I think the sector is still, from what we see, most of our members are Cambridge and London based, in Cambridge, UK, obviously, about 80%, and the rest are from other parts of the UK and overseas. As a private not-for-profit, we have no artificial sort of geographical boundaries, but our particular area of focus is obviously Cambridge and London, because most of our members are there. And it's really, really buoyant. That's not to say there aren't challenges within companies, and people are constantly looking under stones for different types of money, but seeing some really interesting new funding models coming through. Obviously new funds, Dementia Discovery Fund seems to be going particularly well, and so in terms of our members' attitude, I think it's just get on with it, and do what they always do, work in a very innovative way to address issues, the ones that they can influence, and the ones they can't influence, to have the loudest possible voice. And we work with the BIA on their lobbying efforts into government and support their voice into government on biotech, so that there's one clear voice. So our members have a voice, but it's through a national lobbying effort.
And what are the key issues for people right now? They're coming to you and saying, this is where we need help. Are they changing? Are they the same issues you're always seeing?
The issues are different, to be honest, depending on what the economic climate's like. I mean, certainly remember when I came in 7 years ago, a lot of our members, it was obviously the recession had hit in 2007. I came into the company in 2009, and there was no discretionary spend. So, for example, our training programme and the upskilling of staff was perhaps lower down small companies' agendas than it might be now with a better funding environment. Companies are always looking for money, of course. It's that never changes. But we heard from the keynote from Mike Ward this morning that there is money available for the right product and the right market. I think the key thing that is the sort of leitmotif that's running through a lot of our small and medium-sized member companies at the moment is that uncertainty around the B word, around Brexit. Particularly, I mean, the reasons are obvious. Whether it's to do with European grants and funding, whether it's to do with movement of people, whatever it might be. And obviously with what's happened in the States is a major preoccupation as well, given that the US is the biggest market for most UK companies. But actually the key thing with all of that's exercising our members the most at the moment is actually how to motivate and keep what in some companies is 40% of their staff who happen to be based from overseas nations, how to keep them buoyant and motivated and inspired in a period of uncertainty for them, not just in the workplace but with their families and their sort of immediate futures. So if we look at the sector, we know it's a global sector. Most of our members have almost half their workforce from other parts of the world than the UK, so that's bound to bring with it some challenges. So it's the Monday morning issues, the day-to-day really, that CEOs in particular are having to address against a backdrop of uncertainty, but when we know that the UK is still open for business.
And that's a key message, that the UK is still open, we're still doing what we're doing, and the industry is a global one. It was before, it's going to be afterwards, and so we're still going to be doing things with other countries in the same way that we've always done it, and hopefully in new innovative ways. Yeah,
exactly. And there are mechanisms to inform and advise the government. I mentioned the BIA before, and the ABPI. They're sitting on the Ministerial Industry Strategy Group, which George Freeman's been on, and industry and government working together, specifically on life sciences. PwC issued a report in September, which you've probably seen, which highlighted all of the many of the issues that companies are facing around Brexit. So those are being addressed. Obviously, the government's talking about a new industrial strategy. Theresa May's made it very clear that life sciences and healthcare is still one of the top 5 priority sectors for the British government. I have a separate role as well as my chief exec role with Nucleus, which I do in my spare time, which is supporting the UK sector through Number 10, promoting it internationally. And the key messages haven't changed. 50 billion turnover, hundreds of thousands of people employed, brilliant drugs in the development pipeline. None of that's changed. The foundations and the incredible world-class science are still absolutely there and will be.
And are you picking up any messages coming into the UK because you have an international role?
Yes.
How the international community is viewing UK life science and UK innovation right now? Has that changed at all?
I think it's, to be honest, and I don't know if it's the people I'm meeting, I don't know, but I went to BioEurope earlier this year in the spring in Stockholm and had a series of meetings in my business ambassador capacity in this promotional role for the UK. And to be honest, I had a big workshop with the Pharmaceutical Society from Sweden, with government people, with small and medium-sized companies. It's a great workshop amongst other meetings, and they're really very proud of what the UK has done and actually see it as a sort of template for how it could be done, in the Swedish market, both in terms of, this isn't a big promotion of the government, but in terms of having a strategy for life sciences, in terms of having had a minister, and now we have a number of ministers that have stood up and said that they're interested and involved in life sciences within the cabinet. But actually, that blueprint that we had, created years ago with the Office for Life Sciences and Lord Drayson, is seen around the world as a fantastic example of how both government and different government departments and industry can and should be working together.
Right. That model seems to have, and correct me if I'm wrong, seems to have an innovation, early science focus and bringing things through. What about the other end? Because if everybody adopts that model,
right,
we're going to have a problem at the other end. What?
Yeah, I mean, I think still it's very fair to say within the UK, I like to have a balanced view of the UK, and I think it's important. So we're not the leading cluster in the world. We are in some respects, but not in others. We have to look to the east and west coast US for sheer critical mass. But I think in terms of the UK sector, one of the areas of gap, if you like, we had Susan Wyndham-Bannister, the ex-president of the Mass Life Sciences Centre, came to speak at our summer conference in Cambridge, and I asked her the question. I said, what's the key issue for the UK in life sciences? And she said it's the gaps. And we hear quite a lot of talk about building companies. A lot of companies, obviously, in the early stages, quite rightly, most of them have an exit strategy. In that exit strategy will be the potential to sell, to merge or be acquired. So I think building on the infrastructure foundations we have in the UK, R&D tax credits, incentives, biomedical catalyst fund, all those sorts of things, as well as building on the science, retaining the brilliant investors and companies that we already have and growing them. So scale up, I guess, is what I'm saying. Scale up is as important as startup.
Right. And do you think One Nucleus will have a role to play in that, or do you have a role already in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So our members across the life science and healthcare space, we've got just around about 500. Most of them are early stage, small and medium sized enterprises. A number of them would describe themselves absolutely as scale ups now. Horizon Discovery, great example of a company which 7 years ago was 4 or 5 people. And now it's got 200, something like that. So growing, very clear that it wants to remain in Cambridge, very clear that it wants to remain UK based, and it's not alone. We've seen some fantastic. Abcam, of course, we're very fortunate to have in the membership, globally respected. And so, but the other thing I think is that we're seeing, and Mene talked about it this morning in the keynote at Genesis from AstraZeneca, about how much more collaborative big pharma and big biotech is now with smaller companies. We see where we're placed in Granta Park in Cambridge as One Nucleus. Next door is the CR UK MedImmune collaboration, the CM lab, where, as he described it earlier, you have scientists from 2 entirely different organisations but working as one on the latest products. So I think that genuinely more collaborative nature that we're seeing in the much larger companies is bound to have a good knock-on effect to helping smaller companies grow more quickly.
So it'd be fair to say the future's bright, despite things that are going on elsewhere.
Yes.
The future's bright.
Yeah.
The UK is central to it, and One Nucleus is an important player in that.
Yes, we'd like to think we're at the heart of it.
Well, we'll look forward to you coming back in maybe 12, 18 months and telling us about your next success and global domination. Whatever it is.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Harriet.
Thank you.
PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.